It was the 13th year of the Zhenguan era in the prosperous Tang dynasty. Outside the city of Chang'an, the scenery along the banks of the Jing River was elegant, with beautiful water and green mountains. Here lived a fisherman named Zhang Xiao and a woodcutter named Li Ding. One day, Zhang Xiao and Li Ding went into Chang'an. One sold the carp in his basket, while the other sold the firewood on his shoulder. They then went to a tavern, ordered some wine and dishes, drank until half drunk, and each took a jug of wine, walking back along the Jing River. Along the way, Zhang Xiao talked about the freedom of fishing, while Li Ding talked about the joy of chopping wood. They each expressed their thoughts and argued. When they reached a fork in the road, Zhang Xiao blurted out, "There's a fortune teller on West Street in Chang'an. Every day I give him a golden carp, and he tells me where to cast my net. It's accurate every time. How can your wood chopping compare to my fishing for a livelihood?" As they conversed, someone was listening in from the grass. The conversation between the fisherman and the woodcutter was heard by the night demon patrolling the Jing River water palace. The night demon hurried back to the Crystal Palace and reported to the Dragon King, "Your Majesty, trouble. Trouble." Then he recounted the conversation between the fisherman and the woodcutter to the Dragon King in detail. After hearing this, the Dragon King became furious, grabbed his sword, and exclaimed, "With such people around, won't they deplete our aquatic resources? I must go into the city and punish that fortune teller." Prime Minister Shi, the sturgeon, advised, "Your Majesty, please calm down for now. Why not first visit him? If there is indeed such a person, we can still punish him later, without harming innocent bystanders." Following the Prime Minister's advice, the Dragon King put away his sword, left the water palace, and rode on a cloud straight to Chang'an City. As they neared Chang'an, the Dragon King landed his cloud, transformed into a refined scholar in white clothes, and arrived at West Street. The street was bustling with people and noisy. A crowd surrounded a divination shop, where the fortune teller was lecturing enthusiastically. The Dragon King parted the crowd and entered the divination shop. Inside, he saw an exquisite and luxurious interior, with paintings and jewels adorning the walls. In the center hung a portrait of Guguzi, with a man sitting below it, looking extraordinary. This man was none other than Yuan Shouqing, the uncle of the current astronomer royal Yuan Tianguan. After exchanging pleasantries, Yuan Shouqing invited the Dragon King to sit down and ordered the servants to serve tea. He then asked, "May I ask what brings you here, sir?" The Dragon King bowed and asked, "The esteemed sir claims to have divine abilities in fortune-telling. Could you please predict when it will rain tomorrow and how much rainfall there will be?" Yuan Shouqing replied, "It will definitely rain tomorrow at noon, with a total of 3 feet, 3 inches, and 48 points of water." The Dragon King laughed and said, "If it really rains tomorrow, exactly as you say, I am willing to offer 50 taels of gold. But if your prediction fails, I will destroy your reputation and expel you from Chang'an." With that, he left and returned to the water palace. The Dragon King returned to the water palace and shared what had happened with the aquatic creatures. The aquatic creatures laughed and said, "Your Majesty is the supervisor of the 8 rivers, the god of rain, and the Dragon King of the rain. That fortune teller is just bluffing. He must have lost." As they were laughing and talking about this, suddenly someone in the sky shouted, "The Dragon King of the Jing River is here to receive orders." Looking up, they saw a golden-clad warrior holding the decree of the Jade Emperor, appearing mysteriously. The Dragon King hurriedly adjusted his clothes and hat, respectfully knelt down, and accepted the decree. The decree ordered the Dragon King of the Jing River to make it rain the next day to benefit Chang'an. The time and amount of rain written on it were exactly the same as what the fortune teller had predicted. After reading it, the Dragon King was shocked and exclaimed, "There are such divine individuals in the world who can understand the heavens and the earth. How could I not lose to him?" The chief advisor, Sturgeon, said, "Defeating him is not difficult, Your Majesty. Just delay the rain by an hour and reduce the amount of rainfall slightly. Then the fortune teller's divination will be inaccurate, and you can expel him from Chang'an." The Dragon King agreed. The next day, the Dragon King summoned the Wind Master, Cloud Attendants, Thunder Lord, and Electric Mother to the ninth heaven of Chang'an City. When the hour of the snake came, the Dragon King finally commanded the clouds to gather, delaying the rain by a full hour and reducing the rainfall by 3 inches and 8 points. It wasn't until the hour of the monkey that the Dragon King ordered the troops to stop the rain. After the rainmaking was completed, the Dragon King transformed into a refined scholar and stormed into the divination shop. Without a word, he smashed the fortune teller's sign and table. He scolded Yuan Shouqing, "Your prediction of rain yesterday was completely inaccurate in terms of timing and amount. You deceived the public with your lies. Leave Chang'an immediately." Yuan Shouqing remained seated, showing no fear. He looked up with a cold smile and said, "I recognize you as the Dragon King of the Jing River. Do you know that by disobeying the divine decree and altering the timing and amount of rain, you have violated heavenly laws? You are bound to face punishment on the dragon slicing platform. Your crime is unforgivable, yet you still have the leisure to scold me here." Upon hearing this, the Dragon King turned pale with fear and quickly knelt down, begging, "I was ignorant and offended you, sir. I never thought a mere bet would lead to such a violation of heavenly laws. Sir, you are wise, I implore you to save me." Yuan Shouqing sighed. "Tomorrow, you shall appear before the Minister of Justice, Wei Jing, for your execution. If you wish to avoid punishment, you must seek a favor from the current monarch to plead with Prime Minister Wei." The Dragon King expressed his profound gratitude and bid farewell to Yuan Shouqing with tears in his eyes. He had no mind to return to the Water Palace, thinking only of meeting the Tang Emperor. Thus, he rode his cloud straight to the imperial court. Upon arriving at the imperial court, he found that the sun was setting, the moon was cold, and the stars were fading. Dismissing his cloud, he walked directly to the entrance of the court. It was midnight, and the Tang Emperor had already fallen asleep. In his dream, he unconsciously walked out of the imperial court. Outside, the moonlight was faint, and the surroundings were tranquil and serene. Suddenly, someone knelt before him and cried out, "Your Majesty, please save me." The Tang Emperor asked, "Who kneels before me? Why do you need my help?" The Dragon King recounted how he had violated heavenly laws and was sentenced to execution by Wei Jing the next day. The Tang Emperor said, "If it is the Prime Minister who will execute you, then I can save you." The Dragon King expressed his gratitude and left after receiving the Emperor's assurance. The next morning, during the court assembly, the Tang Emperor noticed that all the civil and military officials had gathered except for Prime Minister Wei Jing. He immediately summoned the senior minister, Su Shiqin, to discuss the matter of his dream. Su Shiqin said, "This dream must not be taken lightly. Your Majesty should quickly summon Prime Minister Wei Jing to the court. If he does not step out of the court today, you may save the dragon from your dream." It turned out that the previous night, Wei Jing had been observing the celestial phenomena at his residence, surrounded by incense. Suddenly, he heard the wind howling and the cranes crying in the sky, as if there were ominous signs.